Welcome back, everybody. Let's do some drawing. So I got halfway through a little doodle I was doing earlier, and then I remembered, oh yeah, I've got a channel. So apologies for that, but yeah, so we're going to start a little bit of the ways in on this one, and yeah, I think it'll be alright. We'll make it up as we go along as usual. But yeah, there was I had a nap. I know, getting old. And in my nap, I sort of woke up with an idea. In my nap? After my nap. That wouldn't that be interesting? If instead of the half ship, the big monstrosity, the home ship thing that we've talked about a lot in the past about the game, and mechanically, it's sort of that safe haven for you and your characters, and all your little homunculi and all that sort of thing. But I had an idea. I was like, well, instead of it being this great big monstrosity, this ship that you walk on and, it keeps you, safe. It's kind of like Howl's Moving Castle sort of dealio. What if it was almost like a bike, sort of something that you kind of semi-rode on. And, I guess at the end of the day, the half ship essentially was a little place to be safe, but really it was just something that you used to mine and gather all the ingredients and raw materials underneath so you could use them for crafting and all that stuff. So I thought, well, would it be an interesting idea to have like a smaller version of it and a little bit more personable and a little bit more simplistic? And I think the idea of the huge mechanicalized, that sounds funny, huge machine creature in this sort of like dystopian fantasy world. I don't know, it felt a bit weird because you're meant to be like sort of those that are kind of down on their luck. But if you're running around with this big ship, I thought, well, that doesn't really make much sense. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, the idea I was thinking of is, what happens if this machine is kind of like your own personal little, transport and as well as, your mining vehicle? I just thought that would be kind of cool to sort of explore. And I've been really enjoying it, actually. I like the idea of it more, concise and a bit more, I guess, personable, but I'm repeating myself. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, actually. But I'm really enjoying that. I just love the idea of, these little mining tools that kind of, I guess, there's this sort of like hatch here in my head. This is sort of where the most armored bit of the mechanical thing is, and it like shoots down and it will do all the mining. And I guess mechanically within the game, while it's mining, you would do a little bit of exploring around, looking for stuff as well as defending, because when it's mining it makes a lot of noise. And then, that's kind of it. I quite like the idea of, simplifying the game as well, because I feel like especially lately, I've kind of gone off the walls a little bit. Just, every time I think of a new idea, I'm like, oh, it's gotta go in the game. And, it felt really messy the other day. I was going through everything, and I think it was the first time in a while that I thought, what the hell is the game about? Also, apologies, I'm speaking a million miles an hour, and I feel like I've kind of lost my voice a little bit as well. And also, there is a most magnificent storm outside, so it's kind of distracting because I feel like I'm trying to talk over it, but you know what, I don't think even the camera's even going to pick up on it, is it? But yeah, we'll do this little mini half ship, sort of making up as I go along, as I always do. But I've got some idea of how I want it to kind of look, and I don't want to have it too made up, and because sometimes you get that image you're doing and you really like what you're doing. This is one of those times for me, and sometimes I kind of just draw just to get that concept, that idea out on paper so I can see it, but rarely, sadly, do I ever just go, I'm just enjoying the drawing, you know. Not too rarely. I'm acting like a martyr now. I do enjoy drawing. It's just sometimes, you know, I'm more trying to just create something so I can see it rather than enjoying the process. Right, well, that's quite cool already. So this is all metal and, you know, all like scrappy and all that sort of stuff. And then we'll sort of do other little wires and mechanical bits inside. And I guess when you come up to, you know, a place to do some mining, this bit would open up and the little claws and stuff would come out and do the mining. And while that was going on, I presume you would, I've got to the point of really liking 6d6s to roll. And I think, you know, mechanically I can make most of the little mini games in the idea of the game I'm working on work really well with that. And I think it will be exactly the same for the mining. I mean, you could roll, you know, your d6s, and that could, you know, some of the sides could have sound on there, and if you make so much sound, you would trigger an enemy and they would start coming over. And yeah, I think that kind of thing would work really well. Yeah, it's as far as I got really with that idea, but I mean, it's not really a new idea. I always feel like a lot of my ideas, I've had them before, you know, sometimes months or years ago. And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. And then I go through my notes and I'm like, oh yeah, I had this idea about 7 years ago. Good job, man. But yeah, it's part of it. Okay, so so I had the idea that she would kind of sit on the edge of this like mechanical thing, and there'll be one controller. Wow, that storm is really cool. She'll be having this like one really high-tech, almost like a joystick controller thing. I'm going to make it up as I go along because I'm not really sure how it's going to look. So I guess you've got, you know, there's for your thumb, and then we'll put some more buttons here, and there's for your palm to hold, and we do that kind of like a trigger, you know, acceleration. That would be, say, a brake, and then maybe there's a pedal down here or something for it. We'll do some cables because, if anything, it makes it look cooler. Cool. Right. We're going okay, aren't we? Yeah, and apologies for not filming, drawing this character. I kind of like the idea of someone like kind of Mad Maxy, sort of the waists, you know, with like mechanical boots and more like leather and stuff, and then this sort of like ripped dress, and then all the bags and armor up here and the mask and stuff. It was just really cool to draw, and then I was like, oh, should have done that on the channel. Anyway, we'll make sure if I do it again, I'm on there, I'm filming. And then, yeah, so basically, I guess you sort of hold on to it, so like right arm over this one, and then sort of grip onto it, and then you've got this mechanical lever thing to control I guess it's like a bike, it's like a hover bike, isn't it? And then I like the idea, wow, can you hear the storm? That's crazy. Yeah. So I like the idea that this is sort of the exhaust, and it's seen better days, and it's slowly decaying away. Yeah. Yeah, very cool. I think so anyway. So we'll just do sort of like those little adapters and things, so it all kind of looks all part of the same thing, but kind of messy at the same time. I like that. Oh no, I just had a terrible idea. I was thinking, did I hit play? Record, I mean. I did. Obviously, you're hearing me. Oh, dear me. Cool. And then, I don't know what here. I almost feel like doing fur or something, or like a leather pronunciation would be quite cool as well to have, you know, sort of mixed match, because I got the bags at the back. Maybe I could have a little saddle. Yeah, a little saddle, why not? Excuse me. Yeah, I could have a little saddle, couldn't we? Yeah, I'll do that. Again, this is one of the times where I've made somewhat of a plan and then gone off on my own little tangent. I'm hoping it will turn out okay. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't so much. Nice, and then I'll do some stitching all the way around. So yeah, I really like this idea. I think it feels more personal as well, instead of the half ship being this massive godlike monster machine that you are a part of. In this version, which would follow the same stuff other than snare and slaughter would be removed, and that's a different mechanic. let me have some coffee, maybe that'll help. Oh, it's better. Yeah, so slay and slaughter was a mechanic for the half ship, and that was basically you would shoot a harpoon into the enemy, bring them to you, and then fight within the area of the half ship. There was a special room they would upgrade, which sounds really cool. But I thought it sounded really cool. But when I was actually, when we were putting it together and sort of, you know, does this kind of work? Is this even necessary? It never really felt, you know, that exciting, because I guess the idea of it was to remove having to do any sort of like physical exploration of the world, and sort of have it more, you know, thematically exploration, like story wise. But the more we were doing that sort of thing, the more I thought, you know, that's kind of ruining to actually go out into the world. So that idea was sort of put to the side. I mean, it doesn't mean that we couldn't have something like that in the game. You know, we had another idea about, you know, you could upgrade the half ship when it was big, and you could have it as, you know, it would have okay, some good English today, some good conversation. You could have like a spear sort of thing, or a harpoon as well, and it would just kind of weaken or lower an enemy's health, or, you know, sort of inflict a you know, slower movement speed or something like that. You know, and you could you know, you could upgrade it so they could, you know, inject blight or poison, or you know, bleed or something like that. And that could still very much be used in this, because it's following the same formula. It's not a massive difference. This is just sort of thematically making it more personable, and, you know, it's more you, not this creature thing all the time. What have we done here? Oh yeah, that was the metal bit, yeah. There we go. Lots of little cables. I like cables. Cables are cool. Alright, I'm going to do a really long one down here, and then try and keep that as all the cables we need. Yeah, sorry, I feel like I've talked a million miles an hour. I had lots to talk about. I've kind of chilled out now. And apologies if I seem a bit hyper. You know, I had these ideas in my head, and I was like, oh no, I need to get them out. So I think that's kind of what's happened, you know. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the ramble. But right, we're trying Try and chill out a little bit now, while that storm just obliterates the trees outside. Whoa, very intense. Anyway, right. I feel like we're back to pace now. So, if this is your first time, welcome. I'm not normally this chaotic, but that's a lie. And hope you enjoy your stay. And if you're an old friend of the channel, welcome back. It's great to see you again, and hope you've got a nice cup of tea or a nice coffee with you while you watch and listen to silly rambles. How should we do this? I guess that's going to be like, we'll do like a rucksack or something here. Oh, we'll do a sleeping bag. That makes sense, doesn't it? Okay. And then we'll very slapdash. Rucksack? Rucksack? No, it's not a rucksack. You call it a rucksack. Sleeping bag. That's the one. Cool. Yeah. Oh, I've got a little something on the end of my pen. That's better. And then we'll put a couple of bags. Wouldn't be one of my drawings if it didn't have about 15 bags on it. Okay. Do that leather bit and little buckle. I did notice one thing when I was drawing the large half ship. I always found there was a little strange thing in me about putting things that weren't super sci-fi in it. And it sounds really weird, it just didn't feel right, even though, I very well will stick with that. It's just probably, a bit of time on just processing a new idea. Well, new-ish idea. It's probably an idea I've had about 15 times. When I tell my partner, she'll be like, yep, you had that idea 4 years ago. I'll be like, damn, not again. It's happened again. But yeah, just when I was mixing, fantasy and sort of sci-fi, it never felt quite right. But, I was thinking about this earlier and, I could add multiple things to this character. So all characters, and it felt kind of, because it's smaller and it's more manageable, and you would be going off into the, you wouldn't be driving this giant flying mechanized robotic palace. You would be on this little crappy futuristic dirt bike mining machine, and it felt like the fantasy stuff kind of felt natural then, and it didn't feel like, such a jump. And maybe that's what I've been struggling with lately about, the idea of it all. And I just come every now and again, I come up to this bit of a wall and I'm like, is this right? Am I doing it right? I don't know. Okay. Talking absolute rubbish as usual. Okay, and then we'll do a wrap here. And this feels very much like Monster Hunter Wilds as well. You got your sort of is it the Signet? Oop, can't quite remember. But you got this this creature that you ride upon, and you keep everything on them, like weapons and stuff, and that makes sense because, my idea was this side opens up, so this side's kind of like all the janky wires and the control, and where you hold on, the other side opens up like a shell, kind of like a ladybug shell wing. And what was that? I don't know. And with that, you would have like your workshop and things like that, where you could upgrade and use the materials that you make, make mechanical materials, scrap and stuff like that. You could make the you could upgrade this, or you can make weapons or armor. And then if you found like the bones and the feather and teeth and all that weird janky stuff that I don't think we've talked about that much in the past, but there's quite a lot of macabre stuff that you find in this world, and that's how you make effigies, which are kind of like your long-term permanent character trait changes and special abilities that you couldn't do it any other way. And yeah, we'll do a stitch here, I think. I was missing a little bit this leather. I don't know what I was talking about now. Something ridiculous, I think. What was I talking about? I have no idea. Keep thinking I need to do these videos live, so when I go off on a tangent and completely forget, I can have someone to be like, you were talking about this. I'll be like, thank you. Professional. What was I talking about? Ladybugs? No idea anymore. Doo-doo-doo. Not a problem. We don't need ladybugs where we're going. Okay, I don't want to draw too much detail here because they'll get in the way of this arm. So we'll just draw a few little bits just to show that there is mechanical stuff going on. Yeah, I really like this idea of do this as kind of like the pivot, the point where when you go to lift the other side, oh, that's what I was talking about, I think. That's where you can you pull it up, and then there's all the you know, the workshop and your little kitchen and bits like that. And I guess if it was a 2-player one, I don't know, I'm still not sure about if I even want to try and like implement it so there's a 2-player and a, you know, 3-player version. The idea of the game was just so I had something to play, you know. That's kind of it. With enough randomness that even though I made it, I could still play it. But it would be kind of cool to be able to do 2-player as well. I don't know, I go back and forth on that one. And then do this little bit. Cool. That one was worked right. Nice, like that. Yeah, we'll just do a few more details and then we'll jump ship and then go do the other bit on the other side. Like that. Cool. Yeah, I think that's alright then. Do we need another one? Another one, maybe like that. No, that would look like horns. Maybe that would be cool. I'll come back to that. And then here, we've got all the bags and stuff like that. And I just love bags. I just think they're really cool, and I've always enjoyed drawing them and stuff like that. And I love the idea about the game, really, about being the foraging, the salvaging, the, you know, trying to make the most of what's there. I think that's the mechanic of games that I always just lose my mind over. I just think that's so interesting, so cool. Maybe that's just me. Right, what should we do? Should we do another bag, or, oh, you know what, we should probably do sticks. So I guess, even though, you know, we're not working with this ginormous half ship thing anymore, this big mechanical thing, we are still, you know, going to be in need of wood. You know? But I don't think there will be trees in the sense of, you know, big beautiful oaks or anything in this world. It will be more so, you know, scraps of fossilized wood, things of that nature, you know. Do a little stitch here. That'd be cool. Wouldn't that be a cool miniature? You could have it, you know, like that long, that tall. Maybe it opens up a little bit. Who knows? I just think it'd be cool. And then lots of little sticks. I don't want to interact with this female figure too much. It might look messy. We'll do one just jutting off there, so you know it's not too big, the sticks. Wow. I don't know if you can hear this storm, but it's really impressive. Kind of scary. Right, cool. And then sticks on the other end. Have this stick wrapped with something like that. Maybe that stick kept moving, so they've wrapped it a little bit. Cool. And then here, I guess this would be more, we could do a big belt, like a strap thing. Maybe that's holding the harness. And then a few little cables. Like so. And then down here, I've got more bags, but do you really need that much stuff? Could do a little effigy as well, I suppose. A little creepy little. Yeah, something like that. I have to do some more videos about the effigies and sort of the equipment. Because I guess that's quite a large part of the game, and we haven't really ever explored that in much detail. I might be wrong. Maybe we have, but I don't really remember. And then, what should be here? Maybe just the end of the machine. I feel like the pen's kind of running out, but maybe it's in my head again. I thought the other one had run out. The other video, I was like, oh no, it stopped working. No, it hadn't. It was just holding it weird. I don't know. Nice. Okay. I think we're kind of on the way of being done. What I will do is draw kind of like a saw blade here as well. That's kind of cool. It just looks like there's lots of weapons to choose from in here. And yeah, that's looking quite cool actually, I think. Should have done this coming down over here or something, or oh, it doesn't matter, it's fine. Kind of looks how I want it to look anyway, so. Sorry, hiccuped. Right, we'll call it a day, I reckon. What's that? That's not too bad, is it? It is in focus, right? Please be in focus. Yeah. Anyway, hope you enjoyed our little video. Sorry about the ramble, as usual. And thank you to everyone. Sorry, I'm distracted now by the pen. Thank you to everyone that watches our videos and comments and gets in touch, and all the amazing support all over YouTube and Patreon. And thank you so much to our old biscuit party Patreon, keeping us in a steady flow of biscuits. I appreciate you all. Thank you ever so much. Good night.